G'day, it is Monday the 22nd of March. I'm Nick Wilkins, welcome to the Motorcycle Diaries. Again, it is horrible outside, it's been chucking it down here in Brum, and I have the pleasure now of taking this Ducati 1198S back to Ducati Coventry. Going to get Jinx to give us a bit of a chat through it, and generally you can easily see how I can ride it in the wet. I talked about how this is such an incredible race machine. I know I've reviewed this extensively over the last 3 diaries I've done on it, but it is spectacular, you know. It comes in at about £16,000. It's one of the finest machines you'll ever ride on the road. It's not the most usable sports bike. It's not like the R1 or the Blade, which you generally can use every day, but it does what it says on the tin. An Italian sports bike, passion, flair, massive racing twin that delivers so much torque and punch. Brilliant. Has pretty much got brand new semi-slick tyres on. So riding it in the wet should be interesting, especially with all that torque, and I'm hoping I'm not going to take myself... well, do you know what I mean? It's just going to be a safe journey, and then when I get back, I'm going to spend an hour or so on that. Brand new Harley wide glide. Nice. I'm going to take that home, and then, as I say, for the next few days, Rocket 3, I'm going to try and squeeze in some time on, and the Harley, and then it'll be on the V-King. And then I've got the Gladius to do as well. It's all going off. Anyway, I'm going to take this back to Ducati and get the train back, because I'm having to wait a few weeks for the next Ducati. So I'll get Jinxie to give us a talk through it a bit. Look at that, all shiny, dry and lovely. Unlike me, like a drowned rat, because it's been cold and wet outside, but here I am, Ducati Coventry. That is my steed that I've had for the last couple of weeks, the Ducati 1198S, and this is the man, Jinx, who is going to talk us through it like you did last time. Now, first up, this is a phenomenal bike.
It's a special bike.
It is very special. Now, when I came to take this out, I told you all my friends have been going on at me about, oh, it's crazy, you're not going to be able to ride it, you'll kill yourself. For a start, for anyone that's ridden big sports bikes, you know, don't be put off by people saying that stuff to you, because while it is amazing and that torque makes it a lot more immediate, which I can understand. If you grab a handful of throttle on an R1 or something, you know, it won't chuck you off. If you do that with a twin, you're going to have a bit more issue because it kicks in a lot more with more torque. But honestly, what a machine. So balanced, so taut, so fast, and there is nothing like it noise-wise. It is very unique.
It's a unique bike.
It is, yeah.
It's a very tractable bike, as you say. You can ride the torque on it, you don't have to rev it out. You can ride the torque and say it goes as fast as you want it to go, really. Well,
that's the thing as well. I think that a lot of sports bike riders will say, the difference to this, I've been trying to explain the difference between fours and twins and everything for a while, and it is that. You're not having to get it up to the 8,000-9,000 rev range before it starts pulling. It is literally, as soon as you turn that throttle, it's like a hammer to the back of the head, the torque, isn't it? It just kind of kicks in.
Yeah, you just short shift the torque. It's the best way to ride them as well.
Yeah.
You know, especially on the road.
Yes, yeah, no, and as we know, like obviously just talking about it technically, I mean that twin engine. Let's talk about that first.
Yep.
1100 cc.
Yep.
No, 1000 cc, is it?
1200 cc.
1200. Oh, is it 1200? Of course, it'll be 1198.
Yeah, 1198.
I've just had a complete blank moment there. Look, I can have a look at that sheet, and that'll tell me everything. You know, bike retails at just over 16,000, isn't it?
16,895.
16,895. Now that engine produces what, about just over 170 horsepower. Weighs 170 kilos effectively.
Yeah,
172, I think.
167 for the S.
So it actually is a little bit...
169 for the S, sorry.
Yeah, excellent. So it's actually... Look at you, you've polished up. So you're actually getting exactly pretty much one-to-one ratio, aren't you? Do you know what I mean?
Pretty much.
But delivered with so much more torque than your normal inline fours.
Yeah.
And, yeah, just... we're talking about the racing pedigree. That twin, I'm actually almost lost for words just looking at it because it is so beautiful. I'm just like that again. But yeah, that engine, as I mentioned before... I was surprised at how manageable it was if you're going slow, because you really can, do you know what I mean? If you keep it in the lower rev range and everything else. But once you get up there, it's just relentless, and I think that's the big thing as well. It just feels that this will never stop accelerating, if you know what I mean. Another bike I'm riding at the moment that's got a lot of torque, the Rocket 3, if you had another 10 gears, you'd feel you go at 1,000 miles an hour, because it just keeps doing that. Now, the engine was obviously designed specifically for that reason, but why did Ducati go for a twin, do you reckon?
Ducati's traditional motor, it's always been their engine.
And how
they'll never move away from that.
And technically, I mean, well, technically, but I mean, the difference of riding the twin and a four is quite huge, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Some people struggle to move from one to the other.
Yeah.
To a higher sort of level of riding.
Yeah.
I speak to a lot of the riders, some races struggle to switch from a four to a twin.
Yeah, well, famously, we've had in the past a lot of big riders have gone to Ducati and then struggled to get the most out of it. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. So.
And it's that kind of thing. Yeah, I find it the word I always use when I talk about the racing twin is almost more industrial. You know, you get on a 4, and I don't mean that in a derogatory whatsoever, but you get on a 4, it's smooth, you know, it progresses, like... Well, this is just... And it is like that, you know, it just feels that little bit more, and it makes it a much bigger sound. But yeah, I think, for a unique experience, I've been on the Buell 1125R as well, which has got a racing twin. There's nothing like it, there's nothing you can ride that's like a Ducati racing twin.
Not really.
And that's something that people need to get out there and test ride. Let's just quickly walk around the bike, obviously. Now, we've talked about, in the past, well, actually, I think I've talked about everything. Brakes, phenomenal on this. They are very, very sharp, 2-finger braking all the way. And in fact, now, I think I pretty much brake on all bikes. Maybe 1-finger braking. Yeah, well, I brake on all bikes now with 2 fingers. But it really is, it is sharp, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It really wants to be on a track almost, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Ducati make bikes for the racetrack. Try and get them through, put them on the road, basically. Yeah. Especially the top of the range sports bikes.
Which this is. Well, obviously there's the one above this, the R, which I know you've got a couple downstairs, which we've just been talking about. The difference between, like, for instance, the 1198S and the R, apart from twice the being like over 30 grand near enough. So obviously that is literally the world superbike that the guys are riding around. Yeah. So this is, as I say, made a little bit more expensible. That doesn't even work. But actually, like, so you can buy it and run it on the road. Yeah, now, I actually rode it in the wet. Now, we are talking about how much a track bike this is. I rode it here. It's chucking it down, as you can see outside. It's been horrible. I was really surprised about how manageable it was in the wet.
Yeah, it's good. Because you can just ride the torque. You don't have to rev it out. You can short shift it.
But I think that's the difference. Because you're not exactly having to get up really high in the rev range. You can, and it's not losing a lot of traction to the back wheel. So you just keep it nice and low, and it just plugs along, like, and it's great.
You've got the traction control as well. You've got the full traction control system on the bike.
Of course, yeah, which I had set on 6, didn't I? The DTC.
5 or 6.
Yeah, and it goes up to 8, so I was a complete wimpy. I didn't even change it for the rain.
8's the wimpy settings.
Yeah, so I had it on 6. That was all right in the rain. I'm happy with that. Yeah, it keeps you alive. The chassis and the handling on this, I was really surprised about how nimble it was, if you know what I mean. It is brilliant, isn't it? Again, is that because of the suspension? Is that?
It's just the bike, really.
Yeah, it's kind of everything that comes together: suspension, chassis, engine, just to give you that torque ride. Now, I know you get your pick of Ducatis. Pretty much all of them, as you can see them all here. What are your personal? I just want to ask you on this. I don't forget to ask you. What's your personal opinion about this? Because I know you were riding in the ice and snow and stuff, weren't you?
Yeah, they're great, really.
You really do love it, don't you?
Yeah, they're a special bike. To be fair, they're a bike you have to get your head round to ride all day, every day, I think.
Yeah.
As a road bike.
Yeah.
But as you say, you can short shift it. You can,
I mean,
it's quite manageable.
I started off this review really thinking that you wouldn't be able to say use this every day as a road bike. I'm not saying this in any way to turn the bike. I don't think it would be an ideal bike. If you woke up with a cold, you were feeling horrible, the traffic was bad and it was wet. Yeah, you're not going to want to get on this and sit in traffic for a start, because it doesn't like being in traffic. Obviously it likes being ridden at pace. That's what it's designed for. It's nice and hot when you are in traffic, doesn't it? It does get a little bit warm. But as a bike that if you wanted to do track days on, that you wanted to obviously have something completely unique and different, and it is the Ferrari of the bike world. If you wanted a bike for the summer that you maybe wanted to get to work on 3-4 days a week, there's no reason why you couldn't.
Yeah, you can if you can get a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It all depends what commuting sort of run you do as well.
Yeah, if you're doing an hour and a half a day, this might not be the bike for you. If you're doing a nice long stretch of country roads, maybe. But if you're doing, as you're saying, if you're going from one side of the city to the other, no. It's really, I suppose, a bike for someone that wants something unique, that wants a real racing pedigree, and A, can afford it. But also, I've fallen in love with it. It was my first racing Ducati. I love the monster. I've absolutely fallen in love with this. It's simply just one of the best bikes in the world. You can't compare it to many others, because there aren't many others that kind of have its uniqueness or within its price range. It's not like a Japanese superbike. Hasn't quite got that. I suppose everyday practicality use that they have, but that's why it's so special, because it is so unique, so different. And well, look, listen, I don't know about you, Jinxie, but I personally absolutely love it, man. I know you do. So
we'll hook you up with VR next time.
Yeah, well, hopefully, and that'd be awesome. Now that is going to be hairy, man. 30 grand bike, that'd be fun. Anyway, Motorcycle Diaries for Monday. Ducati 1198S boxed off, amazing machine, worth every penny if you can afford it. And until next time, ride safe.